Hello everybody. Nice to see all of you here. And going a little nuts with this new Ubuntu 18.04 long-term support crap that's crashing all the time. Hate it. I'm gonna go back to my Elementary OS Linux distro because that one is bad. What a piece of crap this is. Hello everybody, nice to have you on board, and pretty cool to have everybody here. Welcome aboard to this radio live show. We are here technically every Fridays. Exception to the rule last week with the Videotron upgrade of the internet and, well, all the cabling in the area, and apparently they told us, and I've never did. But anyways, it had a good point because I complained because I said, oh, I have a live show, and I got a free month of internet for that complaining. So at least paid off. So nice to have you here, and it's always cool to have all of you on board as usual. This is a shortwave radio show. It's a radio, it's a show about radio. We're here every Fridays at 2000 UT. We talk about radio. We have a lot of fun. There's a great chat room, great people in the chat room. Nice to have you all on board. And my name is Gilles, and you basically I live in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and hey, we're here to have fun with radio. And of course, I've got beer. Well, beer is with an S because I bought that. For those that followed me for a long time, you might remember my story of a famous 12-pack of beer that I would buy at a grocery store right next to where I live, that they never knew how much it cost. And so the price that was in front of that 12 case was $12.99, and I knew it was not $12.99. I knew it was around 20 bucks, but every time I would go, it's like, the first time I went there, I was like, well, I don't know. And then the guy went to see. He didn't check anything. He just said, oh, that's $12.99. And, well, yeah, it's not. And many times after that, I was just saying, well, $12.99. And they gave it $12.99. But this time around, they had the price right. And they actually sell it $17.99 right now. So I got that 12-pack that has different beers. Right now, it's a Blanche de Chambly. And I've got a few more, depending on the length of the show. I've got a Honeymoon, or Lune de Miel. I've got a Trois Pistoles, which is a city here in Quebec, and Maudite, which is the beer of the damned, basically. So hopefully, yes. And yes, may the Fort be with you. That is what I see all over Facebook today for Star Wars fans. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm more of a Star Trek fan. And I was listening to some Pat Benatar before the show started. No Sheldon, no Duran Duran. So hello everybody, nice to have you on board. I'm going to say hello to the chat room, great people that are there. And today it's a Q&A, so we've got some questions that will answer a few things that people aren't sure of, and little tips and tricks of how I use them. Hello there, Bobby Burgess, WA5107SWL in Louisiana, USA. Mad Boy, hello there. Nice to have you on board. Jerry DX, hey, supposed to have 90 kilometers per hour winds. Here we're supposed to have winds, a lot of winds, and maybe a thunderstorm later, but right now it's rather quiet and rainy. We had an okay week. MDK2, hello there. PLF Radio, nice to have you on board. From France, PA1SBM, hey Alex from the Netherlands, nice to have you here. Daxfar74 from Germany. Hey Mick Eich, nice to have you on board. Good evening. JD Williamson, nice to have you here. Nicolas Hughes, hey, nice to have you on board. Bill, K3WDR, hello there. Himal Jansen, nice to have you here. PA1WX, hello there. Neil Thunes, nice to have you on board from the UK. M0CJM is the call sign. Donald Hosner, nice to have you here. Donald Hosner in northern Michigan, USA. Pretty cool. Daniel Walsh, nice to have you here. Yeah, I did rant about it. It's lying somewhere over here in the pile of things that I should throw away in the garbage. That Dijon antenna is absolutely crap. But anyways, my take on it. Hey, Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you on board and working on the May issue of the CIDX Messenger, of course. Nice to have you here. And Sheldon, of course, is the honcho behind the Canadian International DX Club. If you guys want to have sample issues, don't ask for multiple sample issues. If you had one already, you're not going to have another one. But if you've not had one, the Messenger is a great little publication. By the Canadian International DX Club. You can get one sample copy at cidxclub@yahoo.com. cidxclub@yahoo.com. You can subscribe for $10 a year, which is a very low price. And you are not just getting a bulletin, you're in a club. You have a club membership also at the same time. It's not just for Canadians, not just because it says Canadian in it, that it's only for Canadians. It's for everybody. There's tons of information in there. So Sheldon's working on the main issue right now. MDK2 says Spartak E happening today. Yeah, well, you know what? That's why I'm on 27025. I had for the past couple of hours some Spartak E opening, and I heard some stations, some really powerful CBers on Channel 6 from the south of the United States, and I did see that there was a lot of even on the west coast of North America, there was some 6-meter band opening, which is kind of cool. And we're going to explain a few things here because some people had questions about all of that. Steve, nice to have you on board from Australia. And yeah, there's still some Spartak E-skip going on right now. I'm hearing a little bit of things happening here for sure. What we have here, so Daxfar is drink wine. I have my beer, so I have started a little early, so not too early, but I did start my beer like, half an hour before the show started. I thought, hey, good music and beer goes together. And here's Mr. Paul who wants to say hello to everyone. So Mr. Paul the cat is right here saying hi to everybody. So Mr. Paul, hope that everybody enjoys his little visit here. I'm just going to do a little something because I see that my computer is kind of hanging. I hope the stream is okay. See, it looks weird here. So this is Mr. Paul the cat for those that wonder who he is. Drifter UK, nice to have you here. And yes, I'm going well, Steve. M3CSP, nice to have you here. Mark Cope from Dallas, Texas. Thank you very much. Nice for the nice comments. What else? Sheldon says Pat Benatar are getting better. I love Pat Benatar. I've never seen her in concert, and I would love to see her in concert. Yes, there's a show tomorrow also. Tomorrow at 2000 hours UTC. Rick Astley, no, I will not listen to Rick Astley. I don't even want to see Rick Astley, and I never, I will give him up. Okay? I'm never going to give you up. I just can't stand that song. And I mean, I go to karaoke, and that's kind of one of the songs that plays a gazillion times there. It's like, I hate Rick Astley, okay? At least, maybe that, there's that I can't. I'm sorry. Rick Astley is impossible for me. So I'm searching for a place to put the keyboard on so that it will not fall down. Here we go. Starship Galactica, yeah, I was a fan of that also. Absolutely. What else do we have? Matrix 54X, Sunny in the 60s. Woohoo! And Randall Klontz from Chicagoland. Nice to have you here. Was there a show last Friday? I couldn't find a link. No, it was supposed to be a VHF UHF show, and apparently we got a notice that I've never seen the notice anyway, that there was an upgrade in the area for cable and internet. So for a couple of hours on Friday, everything stopped, and I didn't know why. And then I noticed that, oh, okay. And I could have used my smartphone to do the live show, but I was already at my limit on my data plan. So if I would have used my smartphone, it would have cost me like through the roof to just stream the show. So I thought that we'd take a little break. So there was no show last week. On one of the rare occasions, we'll try to not have that happen too often. It's funny because 2 times it happened, and 2 times it happened on the VHF show, which, it's cursed. Casper Peterson, nice to have you on aboard, my friend. From Denmark. What else do we have? Stefan Matter, nice to have you here. 2E0BUE. Radelva 65, nice to have you all here. It's always cool to have everybody here. Really nice to see everybody, honestly. It's always nice. So, well, you know what, Nicolas? What happens is that the antenna, it is an antenna, and it does work. The thing is it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. That's the difference. Because it's wire, and if you hook it up, you do have absolutely improved propagation. But if you take a piece of wire that's 20 feet long and hook it up to your radio, you'll have the exact same receiving conditions. It actually doesn't do, when I say it's a crap, it doesn't do what it's advertised to do. It does work because it's a piece of wire. It extends the antenna length of your radio. It's just it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, which is really be an active antenna. Radioactive, KL7ELY, KF7ELY, sorry. I'm just going to put that chat room a little bigger. I need to change my glasses because I'm starting to have a little more difficulty reading in the past few months. But it's one of those things that cost like $700, $600, $700 to get a new pair of glasses. So been putting it off a little bit, but I'll have to go. They changed their schedule a lot. Bobby, WRMI's new schedule. One of the things I did see and did hear, for anybody that listens to WWCR, last week on the Saturday evening they have that Ask WWCR show. That I listened to that little DX hour, 03 to 04 UT on 4840 on Saturday nights, and they were mentioning how they are going to have a lot of transmitters shut down because of Brother Stair not being on the air anymore. They briefly talked about the Brother Stair thing and how some people are not happy that he's on, but money is money. What do you want? Okay, what else do we have? So, hello everybody. You have lasagne for your cat? No. Yeah, he does look like Garfield, honestly. The other day I was looking at my cat outside and I was like, yeah, it does look like Garfield. MDK2 says adopted his aunt's cat and broke her leg. Will be in rehab for a long time. Won't be able to care for her. So she's named Frisky, but wants to come up with a better name. Come up with some kind of radio name. Maybe. I like DX. When everybody saw my cat for the first time and we kind of all agreed that the name would be DX, everybody was like, oh yeah, that's a great name. JD wants to say, well, we're never going to give you up. Well, you know, Dexfar, girls like Rick Astley. And they think he just dances great when actually it's a loop of 3 moves in the video clip. And I just get annoyed by it all the time. I can tell you that. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have? I'm going down the chat slowly. Hello there, Ralph Bender. Nice to have you on board. No, I do not have super unlimited on my mobile service. The unlimited data here in Canada does not exist. I've got 12 gigabytes right now, and and of course, for those that don't know, I moved on in life. So this is my this was my old Galaxy S7 phone, and since last Friday, I've got a new Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus phone that is absolutely beautiful and that I am totally in love with. I know it sounds weird and wrong saying it like that, but anyways. So I'm a happy S9 Plus owner. I like the big screen, and I changed mostly for the big screen and also for the fact that it cost me just $50 with the 2-year contract. So why not? $50, 2-year contract. I was happy with that. So happy. I'm a happy camper here, and been actually transferring and checking out apps for the phone. I was even checking for apps, radio apps for Android. What we can see here. Vancouver Island DXer, nice to have you here. We'll have to leave soon. Someone visits, so nice to have you on board. Brian VE7AUL from Vancouver Island, pretty cool. Scott Collier, nice to have you here, and it says it's a gorgeous May 4th over there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nicola Hughes says, I don't have too much space for a real antenna, or at least any practical places. You know, the important thing, Nicola, is that it works. If you're happy because, you know, when you plug it in, your radio comes to life and it does work, that's all you need, you know. That's all you need. As far as asking if anyone has an XH Data 808, it seems to be a very, very, very good, very, very good thing. Very good radio. Gina Williamson, huh? 700, no insurance. Actually, to have insurance here in Canada, it usually goes with your job. So, for example, if you work somewhere that has a full coverage, yeah, you know, I used to work. The last place I used to work, there was insurance, there were coverage for all of that. I had coverage for for glasses, for the dentist, for everything. But when you are self-employed, you don't have insurance for any of that. The only thing we have here in Canada is the full coverage for the healthcare. That doesn't, in general, cost us nothing or very little. But for things like dentists, for glasses, you got to pay with your own money. Juan Amigo, nice to have you here from Barcelona. Stephen Gibson, hello there from Scotland. Pretty cool to see you here. So we're going to tune around the bands a little bit. Steve says 4450 Voice of the People with Siren Jammer in Australia. Cool. So yeah, don't look at the seconds too much. I didn't set the clock, and I'm sure it's off maybe by 5 or 6 seconds. So in reality, that 4-second delay you have might be in reality 8 or 9 or 10 seconds. I did not set the clock today. I forgot. When I actually wanted to do it, I tuned into WWV and CHU, and I couldn't hear any of those signals. So I like, okay, I'm gonna do it later, and I totally forgot about it. Hydro wires are coming down, says Jerry. A lot of winds in your area. William Helms from Florida, nice to have you here. 60-foot mono up, 12-foot of Cat 5e. Okay, very interesting. Okay, here it's rather quiet right now in the wind department, but there we did have a warning, wind warning, that was issued a little earlier. QRM, named for a cat. Yeah. MDK2 says, so my radio hobby annoys my family just to a very minor degree, but enough that a radio-related name won't fly unless I'm very subtle. Yeah, I kind of understand. So, Moria330, nice to have you here. So, pretty cool. Oh, it is very, very cool. When screencasting the phone on here is a very, very cool thing. And it's even cooler because if I want to show an app, so for example, if I want to show you guys, that I'm using, I'll show you what I purchased, and I haven't tried it today yet. So here, look at that. I'm gonna cast my phone right there. I hope it's not going to change this feed because I know it's asking a lot on the router. And when I cast, now I can actually go here, and I purchased today HF Weather. I bought this app, which is apparently a WeatherFax decoder that we will probably try a little later. So if you guys want to see that, I will try it out later on. So it's kind of fun. I can cast, I can play games. For example, I want to show you guys the heavens above for the satellite data. So I can show you guys this. I see the passes of the International Space Station. So it's the same screen as my phone, and it's cast here because I got a Chromecast on the TV here. So things like that. It's kind of cool. And it's fun. It's really fun, but you need the router needs to perform really well in order for this to work, because it asks a lot. I hope it didn't mess up didn't seem to mess up the stream, but so it's a very cool thing. I actually like to play Asphalt 8 racing game, and Asphalt 8 and the phone becomes a controller basically, and I just play with the TV. It was very, very cool. So Moria 330 says, my reception, my C-Crane Skywave says V has been pretty good. Yeah, Propagation has been quite nice, honestly. Quite nice. Yeah, but you know what? P1SBM is because I only am part-time at Microsoft. So I'm not allowed to the insurance because I'm not full-time. It's only full-time employees that get the insurance. And I'm part-time. Matric 54X, you got a Drake R8, looking for the right antenna for outside. My first idea that comes out would be start with a long wire. Check if you can put out a long wire. Bring in the inside with a shielded coax cable. Start with that. That might be already something interesting if you don't have too much noise around you, and doesn't cost much. And and you can see if you need to upgrade. David Williamson, nice to have you here, and says I got through my Barlow Wadley radios going today. Cool. And you've got 17 cats and 5 dogs, man. That must be something. Jerry DX, nope, not yet. I gotta say that if I would have been able to, it's because I couldn't. Last Wednesday, this last Wednesday, we had, it was Wednesday? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was Wednesday. We had like 25 Celsius. It would almost have been a good time to go there. But now with the weather kind of coming really, really better, Perry Island, the expedition is very soon to happen. Absolutely. John Ritson, hello there. Nice to have you here. MDK2 says a quick note for pirate hunters. Every year there's a Cinco de Mayo pirate station. Last year was on after 0000, meaning evening of May 4th, close for those of us in North America. So we'll check that out. Who knows, tonight maybe at 0000 that pirate will show up. So and you know, it's the weekend. Remember that we will have you know, pirate radio stations, of course, on Fridays and Saturdays. Weekends are great times for pirate radio listening. Yes, I did see Murder, She Wrote when I was younger. I used to watch it with my brother. What was she called? Angela. Trying to remember her last name. Anyways. Svetlana Rodriguez, nice to have you on board. It's a super windy evening in Michigan. Zach Hentel, nice to have you here. And William Helm says 27025, Channel 6 CB, Super Bowl CB6. Good in Fort Myers, Florida. Here, it's been off and on in the past few hours. Sometimes with really strong signals for like 30 minutes, then, you know. Zach Hentel lost the phone. My dad got an iPhone 8 or something yesterday. I love it, but honestly, it's because it has a bigger screen that I purchased it. And also, I'll have to admit, I am one of those people that want to have one of the best phones around. But honestly, the performance of my S7 is so good that I can't say I'm impressed with the S9 Plus. So I always say to everybody, if you got an S7 Edge or an S8, don't bother. It's not an upgrade worth doing. Not for now. Wait till the Note 9, or maybe next year for the Samsung Galaxy 10. So yeah, the XH Data 808 is apparently a very, very good radio. I've seen a lot of videos. Needs to be. It really is nice to see. Neil Braden, nice to have you here. First time watching in several weeks. So nice to be back watching your live shows again. Thank you, and nice to have you here from Dublin, Ireland. Andy Coley, hello there. Good evening. John M. Heard Captain Dave passed away. Huh? Yeah, he did. Didn't he like a couple of months back? Something like that. Dark Noise in the Netherlands. Nice to have you here. Greetings. Marcel, hello there. Nice to have you on board. Really good to have everybody here. Philip Jones says, I have the XH Data 808, but medium wave not good with long wire, but better shortwave reception than my Bonito MA305. Huh, I don't know what the Bonito MA305 looks like. Two hands in the radio. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. What else do we have? 3830 Radio Man. Nice to have you on board from California. Pretty cool. Sean Narvi, is the FM chip activated in the new phone? It doesn't have an FM chip at all. So it's not activated because it doesn't have one. It's one of those phones that does not have one. It's interesting because in one of my tech news bulletins of about, I'd say 5 or 6 months ago, we were talking about, you know, it came out of because of the emergency situation with the hurricanes, and I started looking, and Samsung had promised that they would have the FM chip activated in their phones, but thing is, you got to have the phones that have one in it, and this one does not. The S9 Plus does not have an FM chip, like the S7 doesn't have an FM chip. So it's not all. It's funny because the phones that seem to have an FM chip seem to be the lower grade phones, the ones that are less expensive for some reason. I don't know why. So it's kind of interesting. So I can't tell. I'm happy with my S7, but the burn-in aren't screen replacements expensive as else too. I don't have any problem with burn-in or anything, and I mean, you know, these are Super AMOLED screens, so these are organic LEDs. So each pixel is actually a a little LED if you want, meaning that contrary to a phone that has a side lighting for the screen of an LCD screen. And so, of course, one of the things that, when I got the S7, I was a little worried because I was reading everywhere about the fact that the screen could burn in or something. Yet I used this thing, and I used it so much that honestly, there's no problem with my screen. And I think the burn-in of screens are overrated. These things work for thousands and thousands and thousands of hours before you might have one. And I use the active display here. I use the always-on display. So you see here the time is there. I've used the always-on display on this too, with the little image and everything. Never had any problems. I've charged it some nights where it actually, when you plug it in, sometimes it turns on and it stays on. And I've had nights where it stayed on for 10 hours and never had a problem with the screen. So I think the burn-ins of the AMOLED screens are maybe a little overrated, honestly. But yes, these screens are extremely expensive to change. Absolutely. XNADX or Keegan, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas, 66 Fahrenheit and cloudy. Hello there from Greece, my friend. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Andy Cully, good opening on 10 meters today. I was looking at the X maps right here. No, this one. Sorry. Well, the X maps is. Oh, it's here. Is it here? It's this one, I think. Yeah, here we go. Look at that. Look, this is 6 meters right now. 6 meter opening right now. If you look at 10 meters and the HF spectrum, we'll look at 10 meters. 10 meters is open across the United States almost. So we could see here that thanks to this website, you kind of know that 10 and 6 are open. There must be some sporadic E-skip happening. There's supposed to be a lot of thunderstorms, and often when there's these masses of air with thunderstorms, there's a lot of openings on the sporadic E-skip. Mandarin DXer, hello there, nice to have you here. Hurricane OM78HU, nice to have you on board from Slovakia. Really cool to see everybody coming around the world, to this show. It's like crazy. It's just, it always amazes me every time. Bobby Burgess says the S9 Plus has the USB-C. Yep, it's USB-C. USB-C. Oh, I've never tried a USB-C to HDMI. I don't know if you can export the screen from USB-C to HDMI with the phone. I'll need to try it. Yes, BLF Radio, we will tune the bands. Absolutely. Jerry. Oh, man. What else do we have? Zakanto says, I also think part of it is that AMOLED screens, I guess, depends on the batch you get. So, like the Pixel 2 last year. Yeah, it's always like that. Screens are different quality depending of the different manufacturers. And of course, it's not all the same, but there's very little. There are not a lot of manufacturers making those screens today. Mandarin the Exorcist show got my first E-skip of the year today on the 10-meter band. Hams from Spain and Portugal. Oh, this is cool. Yep, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That is the thing. Marcel said the next goal must be Shortwave Radio live show Friday on a shortwave frequency. What do you mean exactly by that? So nice to have all of you here. Of course, we've got some questions and we'll tune the bands. Let's just check the bands a little bit here. Anybody listening to anything interesting right now? Let's check out the 19-meter band here. I'm gonna start. Let's start at 20 megahertz. Let's start at 20 and go down and see if we anything interesting that we can get here. The good news is that if you guys remember 2 weeks ago, I had my that weird noise that was off and on, and it's gone. Oh yeah, Radio Romania 13650.
Between Romania and Morocco, based on a friendship spanning more than 50 years, as well as the desire of the Romanian side to step up bilateral political dialogue at all levels. Moscow has mentioned the upward trend in boosting bilateral exchanges in the past years, the Moroccan kingdom becoming Romania's first trade partner in Africa and the Middle East, stepping up investment and the Association of Romanian Economic...
So 13650 is Radio Romania. Let me just bring up the schedules here, because I want to see the schedules of shortwave. Put a new tab for the frequencies and for the... So this is, I believe, the North America, right? We're at 2030 right now. So this is 2030 Radio Romania. Yeah, okay. So they're on 11850 and 13650. So 13650 is the one we are. There's also 11850. Let's check it out. 11850. Is that one good also? Yeah.
In the center, into a Greek Catholic family. She was raised in the spirit of the moral and religious values of resistance, both against the Hungarian rule over part of Transylvania during World War II and the communist regime brought to power after the war by the occupying Soviet troops. As a French teacher at the Babeș-Bolyai University in Cluj-Napoca in the West, she became famous for her public criticism of Nicolae Ceausescu.
So 11850 and 13650. Yeah, we'll check that out. I will actually do one thing here. I'll power up my icon and see if there's... If there is a 6-meter opening, I'll hear... it on 50276, the frequency for the JT65. There's going to be, that's one of the frequencies where there's going to be something for sure. I'll leave it on in the background here. So Radio Romania coming in well, 11850 and 13650. Dark Noise, have you tried and tested the custom DLL5 posted last time for the Chinese RTL dongle? Just curious about your findings. No, I did not. I have time to do it, and I completely forgot. I will do it for the next show, and I will talk about it because you did. I was very curious suddenly. I need to check that out and see how it performs. But promise, I will be checking that out. K6YYL, hey Kimberly, nice to have you here from California. I name your cat CQ. Well, you could actually pass that off as a non-radio thing. You can say, hey, oh, that's CQ. And when they ask you, what's that mean? Well, seek you. You know, it's not radio related. Anyways. Exiting the excerpt, Keegan heard WWV on 25 megahertz earlier. Wow, pretty cool. I haven't heard that 25 megahertz in a long time. Honestly, that 25 megahertz has been really, really long time. I haven't heard it. I believe I haven't heard it from all of winter, which is usually the best time for me for 25. And I tried from time to time, you know, but this year propagation has not been good. Hey there, Syrian Willow. Nice to have you here. Randall Klon says 13650 is S9 to S20. David Snyder, 11850 is S9. Pretty cool. PLF Radio says, but I can hear RRI on 11850. It's normal because, you know, the signals propagating from Romania towards North America, you're in the middle somewhere, you know, you're in the same direction because Romania is more to the to the east of you in France. So they also have, for you in France also, you should have, I think it's 6170 for Western Europe, might actually propagate there. K6YYL says, oh yes, I love 6 meters. I love 6 meters. When it's open, I can tell you one thing. It is really, really nice to have 6 meter openings. I am still amazed at my JT65 station from Brazil that I got on 6 meters last summer. I'm still amazed of getting Brazil to Canada on 50 megahertz. That was truly something. K6YL says, sometimes I hear N0LL's beacon on 50077. Then I know there's an opening to Oklahoma, to California. So, you know what? 6 meters is a low frequency. We're at 50 megahertz. So 6 meters, you know what? On a long wire might actually not be too bad. But for me, the 6 meter band on my ICOM is on my mobile vertical antenna, because above 30 megahertz, my 8500 actually has a separate antenna connector. So my 8500 is on vertical, mobile vertical wideband antenna that I use. Philip Jones getting 13650 on his Alinco DJX3 with an earpiece antenna. Flintshire UK, pretty cool. Shortwave Radio says you're right. Also here on Radio Romania on 6170. Yeah, they're on right now. When we look at the schedules, they're on to Western Europe 6170 and Eastern North America 11850, 13650. So it's like a late afternoon Eastern North America broadcast here. It's kind of interesting to see. Let's check out signals. Let's tune around a little bit more, see if what we are getting. Marcel says in Amsterdam RRI S8 with fading, and the K2 says no for Voice of Korea listeners. North Korea changed their time zone from UTC plus 8.5 to UTC 9. As a result, their broadcasts are all 30 minutes earlier. So English on 9429 now at 13, not 13:30. Oh, interesting. So they, I did hear, didn't they do that like to synchronize their time with like South Korea or some kind of PR mode that they are in? Keegan says 13650 weak to moderate up to S5. Okay. Radioactive's back at the Ohm QTH. Cool. Ohm, sweet Ohm. Nothing like that. Steve in Australia hearing 6170, but weak. But that's pretty good. I mean, you know, in Australia you're getting Romania. That's pretty nice. Pretty nice. What else do we have? Let's check out the signals here. I will just do this because it removes some of the interference. What is Saudi Arabia on 11820? You got to be careful not to have the Holy Quran. My monetization gets off when I post the Holy Quran. 11790, what that is? 11790 with music. Let's check it out here. 11790 is Adventist World Radio, broadcasting from France apparently, in a language that I don't know what that is, but it's YO. The two letters are YO, so I don't know what that language is. But Adventist World Radio on 11790 from France apparently, with some music right now. Yeah, that I remember that there was something. I remember that there was that change because I remembered when Voice of Korea had these at their times shifted 30 minutes, and I do remember that. So coming interesting. You know, Marcel, Radio Romania had a complete reconstruction of their like new transmitters, and they tweaked their antennas about 10-15 years ago, and when they did that, they suddenly had an amazing signal to North America and pretty much everywhere. So it's kind of you know, the language of yo. Yeah. Oh man. JD Williamson says 1150 is +10 in Northeast Netherlands. 6170, great signal with me, says Philip Jones. PLF says, I can't hear Adventist World Radio. Maybe I'm too close. Yeah, because it says it broadcasts from France, so that means it might be skipping over you where you are. Anything else here? Something weak on 11740. Let's check it out here. Anything else that's not an interference? Something weak. Oh, here's something very weak on 11660. Capix Game TV, hello there from Poland. Nice to have you on board. If we look at 11660, very weak. Sounds like uh, 11660. Well, I wasn't too bad. Oh, it's directly from China. There's a slight opening to China here because this is China Radio International in French to South Europe from the Kashi transmitter side in China. It's not very strong, but I did kind of detect. I wasn't sure that at the moment, but when I listened to the signal, kind of detected that it sounded like French. So it's very weak, but it's China Radio International direct from this from China. Kind of interesting. Something Turkish on 12050 says JD Williamson. So let's check out 12050. Yeah, that one is usually here. Oh, it's very weak. Don't hear much there on 12050. Anything else here in the 1195 sounds like French also. 1195 does sound like French also. And if we go to 11985, it is oh, Radio Japan from Madagascar. It's not very strong right now though. Radio Japan from Madagascar on 11985 in French. So it's not very strong, but I have a better reception in the winter time, but not bad. You know, considering that Madagascar is 13,000 kilometers from here, something like that. It's pretty good DX here. PLF Radio says, but I can hear RFI at 7105. The transmitter site is in the same location as Adventist that I can hear. Yeah, but the jump is not the same, and also the target areas maybe not the same. So there's several factors when you look at a signal that's from a transmitter site. The higher the frequency in general, the bigger the skip zone. And you're probably in the skip zone of 11790, but 7105 is a lower frequency. The skip zone is maybe smaller. There's all sorts of other factors. You might be receiving the ground the ground wave of 7105, but not of 11790. Like I said, each frequency has its own target area, so it might not be broadcasting in the same general direction. All of that means that some frequencies you might hear and others not. An example of that is CHU Canada, the time signal here. It's in Ottawa, which is like 100 miles to the west of Montreal. And it basically is, most of the time, I don't hear anything on 7850. But sometimes, depending on the propagation conditions, sometimes it's super loud and clear on 7850. 14670, forget it, I never hear that. That skips over me all the time. 3330, I hear pretty much 24 hours here because I hear the ground wave. And it comes in usually pretty much a 24-hour period, especially in the winter time. So, you know, depending on the frequency, the characteristics of the ionosphere at the specific time you're listening, there's all sorts of different things like that. Syrian, well, is there any free FM SDRs on the internet? I only found AM SDRs. Do you mean FM as in listening to the FM band in different regions? Because there's a lot of the software-defined receivers, like on global tuners, that actually have the FM band. You can listen to the FM band on them with no problem. Globaltuners.com is one of the places where you might find that. And yes, there are some software-defined receivers online that are in FM, absolutely. So PLF Radio, 7205, yeah. No, I think William Helms, it's an African thing, the YO language, because it's for Africa, and I would think it's some kind of African language. Nice Paris says Madagascar, King Julian. David in Barcelona, nice to have you here from Spain. Pretty cool. Keegan says WWV and 20 megahertz of S4 5 fading at times. Pretty good. Pretty good. J.D. Williamson's got nothing on 11950, does something on 11940. A lot of Middle Eastern broadcasters on 25 meters. Take care, Dexpar. Unfortunately, we'll be back tomorrow at 2000 hours Universal Time if you want to be here again on tomorrow's Saturday. Keegan, MDK2 says WWV 5 megahertz has been unusually strong today for me. My instance from the transmitter is 75 miles, 120 kilometers, but the maximum usable frequency has been low enough that it may today's skywave is strong. You know, I've been hearing 5 megahertz really well in the evening lately. It's been booming in after like a couple of hours after sunset. 5 megahertz has been really, really nice. Really, really nice. Xander Marks, 73. It's nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. Learning for novice license. Cool. Cool. This is cool. Who can hear the time on 22 megahertz? Is there a time signal on 22 megahertz? I don't recall having a time signal station on 22 megahertz. Sorry, guys. I need more beer. I'll try 22000, but I don't think I'll hear anything. So for me, there's absolutely nothing here. You sure it's not a local interference or some kind of local pip sound? Okay, let's continue with a Mozit, which is a beer of the damned, 8%. Pretty strong stuff. The other one was I started easy. The Blanche de Chambly is like 4.5%, so as not to get too drunk too fast, which is a good idea when you're on a live show. Of course, I sometimes get comments of people saying, you know, when you're drunk, you're kind of you're kind of funny, but also sometimes when I'm drunk, I can tend to rant a little bit more. So we'll try to keep it family oriented, so that kids can watch and there's not going to be any problems there. Oh God, hey man, we're already almost an hour into the show. This is incredible. Time flies. It's just crazy. We're going to wait at 2100 and we're going to try to tune around again a little bit in 2100 UT. Dark Noise says, was able to hear Radio Daki from Brazil, 4915 here in Netherlands on April 24th. Wow, with 25 kilowatts. RTL dongle and an active antenna. That is good. That is really good. So that is really, really good. Axel, PA3BAK, nice to have you on board. Yeah, I wonder if there's, it's not a local interference, William, because 22 megahertz, I've no recall of any time station on 22 megahertz. And we got to be careful, you know what? There's a lot of little pips and squeaks that we hear in the bands that are often done and are created by the different devices around us. And we got to be very, very careful. For example, I know that my cable box that I have here has these little like pips that are every second that pop up at different places in the shortwave spectrum. And that, you know, it's easy to look at that and say, oh my God, oh, I found a new signal, or I found a time station. It's every second. But then you look and you find, and you know, one of the things that I always look at is when you actually have a signal, always look at the I call it the shortwave propagation characteristics, because most local interference, most local noise from devices will be very stable. So usually, say you're hearing time pips on 22 megahertz and you have a signal of S7. If you see that it's S7 and it stays there and doesn't move at all in the signal strength, you're probably hearing a local interference. Because if it was shortwave, you'll have fading. Shortwave signals always have fading in them. So if you have a signal, fades away, comes back, most likely you're probably 99% of the time listening to some shortwave signal coming in from somewhere. But if your signal is always exactly S8 or S9 plus 20, and it doesn't budge, it doesn't move, then you're hearing some kind of local interference because there's no fading. It's not a shortwave signal. There's always some fading. Look at Radio Romania we're listening to. Was fading back and forth. Any signal on shortwave is back and forth. If it's not fading, it's either local interference, or in some cases, you might hear some local communication. Say the CB band, for example. You might hear some local CBers. That's not the same thing. But that's one of the things that I always look at. If I hear some unusual signal, never heard before, I'll tend to look at, okay, is it fading? For example, when I posted a video a couple of weeks back of some constant pips, I think it was at around 12 megahertz or something like that. The first thing I looked at was, okay, is that local interference? Is that something that's generated from a device that I've got in my home, or maybe a neighbor's device that they bought something new and it's there? But I could see that it was fading and coming back like a shortwave signal. So I knew, okay, that comes from the shortwave bands. That's a signal from somewhere else that I don't know and I cannot identify. So that's often something that I look at, and it helps you to make a clear choice. Know what you're listening. Of the signals, know where it comes from, basically. Where do you check for time signal frequencies? Well, most of them are actually in the when I talk about my EIBISpace.de website, pretty much every time signal station in there is in the list. So if you search the list of frequencies, for example, here I just typed 7850 and searching for the list, and it says Canada CHU Canada time signal. It says TS, so it's easy to identify. Everything that has TS, it's like a dash TS after it, time signal. So you can even search for dash, do dash and TS here, and if you search for it, well, you start getting all the time signals. So here, RWM Moscow 9996, LOL Buenos Aires is the laugh out loud time signal. LOL Buenos Aires, sorry, bad joke. PPE from Brazil, BPM from China, WWVH in Hawaii, Italy Cable, WWV in Colorado. So it has pretty much all the time signal stations. 14670, CHU, RWM 14996. Yeah, it has pretty much everything. You don't really need to. So it has WWV 20 megahertz, 25 megahertz. It has all the time signal stations. So the EIBI space.de list, if you just search in it, you will have all the frequencies for the time signal stations. They're all listed in there. So it's really nice. Any thoughts on the active loop AOR LA380? I have no thoughts on that. I don't know if anybody uses that or anybody can help in what that is. How good that is, basically. RDB, nice to have you on board from Ohio. Pretty cool. PA1WX is the buzzer on 4625 upper sideband. I can hear the buzzer in the afternoon every day. So yep, buzzer on 4625 upper sideband, absolutely. And yeah, there are some time signal stations in the long wave band, absolutely. Absolutely. Bobby Burgess says, if you want a family show, you should go with flavored water. Really? Yeah, it's not, okay, so it's not a family show when I start drinking? Oh, I can tell you, it takes a lot of, all I can say, William Helms, is it takes a lot of vodka to have me taking a nap on the desk. I'll probably have time to rant and to just do some stupid things before I take a nap on the desk. Oh, God. What else do we have? 3830 Radio Man can hear WWVN 20. ASWL60N, nice to have you on board. And yeah, pretty cool to have you here. You got to turn on that radio. How do you get rid of those signals? You mean the ones that are local interference? Well, that's very difficult, and that's the biggest problem with our hobby right now. It's the fact that there's a lot of local interference, and unfortunately, you can't remove all of that. So there are things like, for example, magnetic loop antennas tend to lower noise, and because they're directional, you can null out or remove the noise from local sources. But we gotta understand one thing, that in our modern times, shortwave listening, part of it is that we have to accept that there's noise on the bands. Voice of the report of the week on 9955, apparently. Let's check it out. I don't hear 9955 often because they broadcast. Yep, don't hear it really well. They broadcast towards South America, so it's like the signal's going away from me rather than coming towards here. Sheldon says CRTC May 7 test alerts will be sent to compatible LTE connected mobile devices, Quebec, Ontario, Ontario TV, and May 7 Quebec 9:55 a.m. and 1:55 p.m. in Ontario. Oh, that's going to be interesting. I did get some, talking about that, Sheldon, I did get on my phone a SMS, a text message from my own carrier, which is Fido, to let me know that there were some tests that were going to be conducted, but I kind of didn't take the time to look at the details. Yeah, that's the new system for test alerts. If something happens, we'll get them on our phones. Just like Hawaii had that on the phones of everybody that were alerted that a missile was incoming last year. And a friend of mine was actually in Hawaii at that time. So when I came back, he said, "So, how about that missile alert?" So yeah, this anybody in Canada should get that. I'm pretty sure that most modern phones are going to receive them. They're pretty much every model is probably compatible, unless you really got an old phone, and probably more of the smartphone type. KC Red Dragon says maybe if you grounded your cable box or warp with foil. Wrap with foil. Yeah, you know what? I can't wrap it with foil because it already comes really hot. So if I put foil around it, it's gonna burn up. That cable box is a rented box from my cable company. It has a hard drive in it, and it's a DVR basically, so you can actually record shows and everything. But that box, it's not a nuisance. Honestly, that box is, if I only had that created noise, I would be a happy camper, honestly. I would really be a happy camper. That's it, but I don't want to tamper because the box is lent to me. It doesn't cost me anything every month. And if I decide I don't want to have cable anymore, I have to give them the box back. So I'd rather not play around with it. And honestly, when I listen to shortwave, if something does create noise, I just unplug it. So if I have something here, I have a few things here in my office, for example. Then when I plug it in, I see the noise level rise up on the screen, and I just unplug them before I listen, mostly. Love your shows. Thank you very much, my friend in Greece. Did I miss out on something? Hello there, Naxelnik VRP. Nice to have you on board. And I just got a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for our area. So that means that there might be severe thunderstorms in my area in the next hours. So, Robert Prosper, nice to have you here. Make DXing an esport and hold public displays. Oh, that'd be interesting. Having an esport with DXing. Jerry says CHU on 7850. What else do we have? Yeah, you know what? There's your interference on 11 meter after 8 p.m. Somebody in your area has some kind of, somebody in your area has some kind of device or TV that makes a lot of noise, especially when they're very, every night after 7 p.m. There's also, the street lighting systems. You've got to be careful with that. Sometimes it can be noisy. The street lighting systems are sometimes a source of problems. Bobby says, Canada forbids unplugging from your cable company. Well, actually, I can unplug the box if I want. There's no problem there. But it's just that, it doesn't cause any problem at all. And I can, we have TV over the airwaves. A lot of people don't know that. There's when I was a tech guy, and some of the last tech duties that I did, there was we moved on, and everybody that had an old style TV, you had to have an HD TV converter box because the old TVs would not work anymore with that. And of course, the modern TVs, like this one, has the ATSC digital tuners. And I had a friend of mine that started out with that. A friend of mine that never had cable because he just didn't watch TV enough to, be worth it to have cable. And one day said, "Oh man, with that HD stuff, we're not going to have TV anymore over the airways." And I said, "Yeah, you are. You have HD TV over the antenna." And he said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, you just need either a converter box if your TV's old, or you need, if your TV's, not very old, you probably can tune it already." The problem is nobody has an antenna on their TVs. Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but you'll pay $1,000 for a TV. It doesn't come with an antenna. The antenna is extra. When we would buy a TV back in 1985, the antennas were with the TV. Today you get a TV and no antennas and nothing. And people kind of think that, oh, well, we can't, okay, there's no antennas anymore because there's probably nothing we can, no, there's a lot of stuff you can get over the air using the antenna. For example, that TV, just for the fun of it, I plugged in a piece of wire in the connector, and I let it scan for channels, and I don't know, it came up like 8 or 10 channels that I could receive clearly on HD. I mean, even when I don't know if it's going to work, but let's just, oh no, I changed the ATSC to, I'm not going to play with that because of these old devices here. I changed to an old, the old analog tuner inside. But a lot of people don't know that you're getting over-the-air stations if you put antennas on your TV. And as a tech guy, I had a few clients of mine who said, "Oh man, I can't get any more," because they moved to digital, and they had these big screen TVs. And I would say, "Well, your TV can get the new signal," and they're like, "Really?" But because they didn't know that you just just go inside the menu, change from NTSC to ATSC, so that your tuner now tunes the digital modes rather than tuning the regular analog TV channels. And a lot of them were surprised. I was like, I didn't think, and they were like, okay, and they were looking at the picture and said, "Well, it's nice." And I said, "Well, it's HD. You're getting HD TV over the airwaves, and it's actually even better HD TV. It's less compressed than in the cable." So it's crazy, and a lot of people don't know that. Super 20 Dan, nice to have you here. Voodoo SDR. I didn't go to Voodoo SDR. Syrian Willow says shortwave doesn't have noise; it has a melody. Only the Xers can enjoy. Actually, only the Xers. Only the Xers can stand the static and listen through it. Everybody else around us will say, "Well, this is annoying." Patrick, why do cable boxes run hot? You know what? A lot of them run hot because there's a lot of electronics in it. And the way they're designed, basically. I had one very small box, the cheapest HD box that they offer. That thing came so hot in the summertime. It was nuts. I remember trying to unscrew the cable from it and burning my fingers. I was like, "Whoa, this is nuts." It was just built like that, and it's really crazy. Some of these are like cheaply made, and they're not. They really run hot. So my terminal I've got here for cable right now is doesn't run as hot as the other ones I had before. It's actually better made. It's a Samsung box. I don't remember the model number, with hard drive and everything. And I mean, you got to understand also that these things are computers. When you start putting a hard drive and you get these menus where you're going in and you record your shows, you have a computer that is specialized in recording shows and also displaying the HD content you're getting from cable. So your computer runs hot when it's running. The cable box will run hot also because it's kind of a computer basically. Robert Prosper says pirate radio that pretended to be an extraterrestrial origin would be a smash hit and boost interest in the sport. That would be. There's all these fake things like these fake idols that bleed, that will have tears of blood and stuff like that over the years. Why there's never been a shortwave fake somewhere that fake news of shortwave, first reception of extraterrestrial origin on shortwave, and that would make the rounds. That would actually spark the interest in shortwave again, maybe. Yep. I was listening to the Aliens last night. They told me you gotta buy a shortwave radio. Yes, absolutely. I will be co-host of the International Radio Report on Sunday at 14:30 UTC. Absolutely, we'll be happy to be there. It's always fun to be there, actually, and it's one of those things that I kind of got hooked to it now, Sheldon. I need my CKUT fix every 2 weeks. There's something I kind of just like being there, and it's a great show also, and I'm happy to be part of it also. So if you guys want to listen in, and even when I'm not there, Sheldon and David are great at what you do, and there's a lot of really cool news about radio that Sheldon gets out every week. It's really an interesting radio show, and it has everything from the interesting shocking news of the radio world to the unusual side of the radio world. It's a very nice show, and I'm happy to be part of it. Honestly, really happy to be part of it. Yeah, I can. Yes, I know. I have actually here a map that I can actually get up and see if thunderstorms are coming in my region. But you know what? I'm surprised I don't hear a lot of static crashes. So if there's thunderstorms, usually you see static crashes appear. I can't say that I'm really hearing any static crashes right now. David in Barcelona says, I don't think we've ever had cable TV here in Spain. It's always been over the air. So, I remember when everybody got crazy with those little boxes to bring digital TV. And I remember like tons of places where they were all sold out. I remember a client of mine saying, hey, I want to have one of those boxes. Can you get one? I can't find one anywhere. People were going crazy with these little boxes. Robert Prosper says, I'm thinking of cutting the cord. I've been experimenting with that. What I can receive locally in Manhattan with a $20 antenna. I mean, Yes, Fastload, it is. It's compressed. Over the air is less compressed. Do some search. You'll see. There's a difference. There is less compression on over the air. It's a known fact. Do some search. What else do we have? 2 to 162.55. Yeah, I mean, I'll have some local things. But I personally here, it's because I don't live alone. Because honestly, I would cut the cable. Don't need cable TV. I don't watch TV. The only thing I watch is Netflix, and I've got tons of things that I watch over the internet, tech shows and stuff like that. Madrido DXer says, remember when analog TV was around, using indoor aerial got a signal. That's how digital, having the aerial outdoors is a must, otherwise no signal. Yeah, it depends. You know, here I get signals indoors. If I tune around here, I will get, I don't know, let's just check it out, but I think I've changed the mode to it. So this is, oh yeah, if I do 2.1, I believe. 2.1. So this, look at that. This is the French CBC. Look at that. Look at that super clear HD signal I'm getting. And I mean, there's the only wire in that's the antenna in it is the wire that goes from my Atari to the TV right now. 6.1 is the English language version of the CBC TV here, which I should get, I guess. Here we go. Look at that. A debutant is murdered, apparently. So this is one of those soap opera thingies that I never watch. So, you know, it does work. I get, this is over the air. There's no cable on that TV here. Look at that. So somebody apparently attacked a bus driver, I don't know. These are the great news of, oops, not 5.1, but 15.1, I believe, is the next. I think that is global. And I'm not getting anything on this one. Oh yeah, I'm getting these little squares. Signal's not good enough. So that's a case where the signal's not good enough. So, you know, we're getting some HDTV stuff here. Look at that. That's the Quebec television, Télé-Québec. So, you know, I do get over-the-air stuff on the TV, and I mean the image is really good when you look at it. It's really crisp. I would personally not have cable if I would be living alone here. So, you know. Have you ever seen the TV tuning adapters that connect to your network so you can watch? Yeah, well, for a long time I had things like a Podge Win TV thing, where I could watch TV on my computers and stuff like that. It's a lot of stuff. John Young says the image quality I get over the air is much better than what I get from a satellite. Yes, because it is more compressed over cable and satellite. Because they have to reduce the bandwidth to have its maximum number of channels. They compress the signal to have the maximum number of channels in that cable or that signal. Over the air, they don't have to do that. So that's why over the air looks better most of the time. If you compare the same image from a cable and from over the air, you will see it's not the same. It's not the same. It's beautiful over the air. If you get a good signal, it will be better and crisper over the air. Patrick Manny says everyone was in a hurry to take down their old TV antennas and went with cable. You know what I miss? What I miss with the fact that we went with digital TV is DXing TV channels when Spartak eSkip was there. I remember, you know, I had so much fun listening, and I remember listening to Alabama on Channel 4, getting stations like, you know, from Florida and Texas on Channel 2, 3, and 3, 4, and 5, because Channel 2 was already taken in Montreal. Channel 6 also. So 3, 4, and 5 were the channels. I had a black and white TV that I was using that I kept for years just because I wanted to DX. And when the bands opened, man, I loved it. I would spend hours tuning around these different TV channels, just waiting for an identification of where they were. I believe with HDTV, that is a hobby that's gone now. There's no more DXing possible. Robert Prosper says, when I hear weird static, I like to imagine that I'm living in an episode of The Outer Limits, the galaxy being. Super 20 Dan says, my cat sleeps on ours in the winter and you can't change the channel. Oh man. So yeah, old CRT TVs, absolutely, they would run hot all the time, but they needed so much power to power up that CRT. But these actually run hot. You know, this one is a old LCD screen, old LCD TV. You can feel the heat coming off of that screen when I do this. I feel the heat. And even my 50-inch LED in the living room, when I'm close to it, I can feel the heat coming, radiated from the front of that TV. RDB says we have an indoor antenna. It is the size of a piece of 8 by 11 notebook paper with a coax cable on it. No problem picking up mini TV stations. It is on the wall behind the TV. Paid $10 for it. You don't need to buy fancy antennas to get that. It's so funny, talking of fake news and of whatever. There's one ad in Facebook that I see from time to time that says Canadians are cutting the cord of cable thanks to this new great invention. And I look at it and I'm like, this new great invention, it's a TV antenna. I mean, it's, wow, it's raining real hard right now. It's nuts. Wow, crazy. Wow. It's really, really raining hard. It's pouring down. So, you know, you look at that, it's like they have that fake ad, and you're like, Canadians are cutting the cord of cable because of this new great, it's like, you know, this great new invention. What the hell are you talking about? It's a TV antenna. It's a TV antenna. You should be sued for saying something like that. This great new invention. No, it's a TV antenna. Hello. Come on, you know. Randall Klons Radio says, War of the Worlds Part 2. Randall Klons says, I love my outdoor TV antenna. Can get over, yeah, with an outdoor TV, of course you get more channels. You know, with an outdoor antenna, I probably would get the northern U.S. Stations, you know, like WCX on Channel 3 from Burlington, Channel 5, Plattsburgh, and channels like that, which I don't get from inside. Really, really interesting. Okay, I'm far in the chat room. I'm coming down, guys. So bear with me here. I said in the extra, Keegan says when static appeared in the TV reception, I knew lightning and thunderstorms were on the way. Even more when storm was in progress. Yep. I remember listening. You know, the most, I'd say the moment of thunderstorms that I remember when I was young was listening to, I was a big fan of listening to the Montreal Expos, the baseball club. And I remember listening to the Montreal Expos game in hot summer afternoons, and then started while I was listening to the game, there were more and more static crashes, and I was like, okay, then thunderstorms are coming, and then you'd be hit by this big thunderstorm that would go through, last 20 minutes, and then, you know, all would be over. That always reminds me of that, or my mom listening to the CBC in French, or I remember CKVL. She was listening to that station on 850 that's long gone now, and hearing the static crashes come in through the radio and knowing that, oh man, thunderstorms coming. It's crazy. Calvin, nice to have you here. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Fastload. Rain is pouring here too. Pretty crazy. So take care, JD Williamson. Nice to have you on board. Yeah, antennas also serve as FM reception, absolutely. Oh yeah, 50 to 57 channels and nothing on. That's an interesting Bruce Springsteen song. Vianney Arsenault, hey, welcome aboard VA2 VMA. VA2 VMA. Kevin Y, hello there, nice to have you here. And it's always cool to have you on board. Yeah, today is 500 channels and nothing on, absolutely. Take care, Marcel, and hope to see you maybe tomorrow. Our friend from Greece says, the only complaint with our hobby, I am a university student and I live in a tiny apartment. My antennas are so enclosed. I can barely listen to some shortwave. I gotta say that basically that is probably the biggest problem. Anybody that lives in a condo or in apartments where you really can't put any outdoor antennas of any kind, very often these people are actually condemned to have almost no reception of shortwave signals because of the noise around them. And the only way to do so, you got to take a walk and go to the park or something, because it's impossible. No, this is not a new TV, Calvin. It's actually a new setup if you haven't seen it. But this TV is it's probably like 10 years old. It's 8 years old exactly. I bought it in 2010, and it's funny because it was in my bedroom, and I would not use it. In my bedroom, I barely used it. It had an Apple TV on it, and I would watch Netflix or stuff like that. But when I go to bed, I rarely watch TV. I'm not a TV watcher in bed. If I go to bed, it's because I'm going to sleep, So when I started moving things around, and I was like, you know what? I don't use that TV. I mean, in the 8 years that it was there, it was almost never used. It almost never worked. I never turned it on. And one day I thought, you know what? Why don't I bring that in my office? Because I'm, transferring and changing everything in my office for just the purpose of live shows. And I thought, at least there, it's gonna do something instead of sitting there and doing nothing, So, none that I know of for TV apps for Android, honestly. I don't know. So, it's kind of interesting. What else is there? Going down slowly. Patrick Manny says thunderstorms now. Okay. At least there's no lightning. I don't hear any thunder or anything. So, pretty crazy. Take care, to Shortwave Radio. Nice to have you here as usual. What else is there? Picked up a new toy. Kenwood TS 940S. Whoa ho! This is nice. This is really nice. Really cool. PL Norway. Or Norway. PL Norway. Sorry, I said Norway, but Norway. Nice to have you here. I don't know why. Sometimes we look at a word and our brain just completes the word, and you're like, no, that's not the word. So, take care, Philip Jones. Hey, we're at above 100 viewers right now. Just before we continue on, we're at an hour and a half already in the show. Don't forget that you can help me out. Helps me continue in what I'm doing. And a great example is my lighting system. I had a problem a few weeks back, and I've used my PayPal donations to purchase new lighting system to actually not stay in the dark when I do the shows. So if that is one of the things that I do with the donations, and of course helps me out while I'm doing these shows. It's always appreciated. You can give me a donation at paypal.me/shortwave, or if you have a PayPal account, you can just send it to the Yahoo email you see there. You can join in. With patreon.com/radio and computers, where there's 10 donators that are actually giving me a little something every month. And so why not join and give me a little something. If you like my shows, why not join in and give a little something. Mark D. Schmidt watching from Maine. Nice to have you on board, my friend. And that is via the email I just received. And oh, this is crazy. Yeah, I did see there was on the Radioactive send me the convective outlooker send me like a little picture of where everything is happening weather-wise, and I did see that. I think it was the local weather channel that had that, where there's a high possibility of winds and thunderstorms. It's going to be cooler in the next few days, so it's probably a change in the weather. So anyways, anyone who wants to donate, please do so. It helps me out. And thank you for all of those that donated. And if you never donated and you're here all the time and you can spare a little change, why not try it out? Okay, let's tune around a little bit more. How about it? So, getting gray clouds in certain spots near QDH. Bobby Burgess says. Calvin says, works really well. Good audio reports as well. Any t-shirts yet? They're soon to be here. A week or two max. They're going to be here. They're taking some time to make them. I got a couple, but I didn't like them, and we talked about changes. So soon, in a couple of weeks, we should have them. And can you do a quick TV scan of the digital channels you receive? Okay, let's check it out. So if I go, let's go back. Before we get back to the shortwave stuff, let's do a scan. So how do I do a scan of the channels on this thing? I probably need to go to the menu and oops, menu. Let's go down. Where do I scan for? Yeah. Okay, here we go. 50 minutes? Why should it take 50 minutes to scan? Come on. That can't take 50 minutes. Really? Let's just let it go through. Oh, I think I just heard some thunder here. I'm not sure, but I think I heard thunder. We'll see if how long it takes to do that. If it takes 50 minutes, forget it. But I don't believe it took 50 minutes the first time I did it. So let's find that. Yes, Bobby, absolutely. Thank you for your donation. Thank you for the donation. Much appreciated. And we'll check it out. Yeah, you know, I don't think it's going to take 50 minutes. So it's found 7 channels right now. So I guess that bar, when it's at the top, it's probably done. So we'll see what happens with all of that. But I think it's not going to take 50 minutes. So let's let it do its job a little bit and see what's going to show up in the HDTV channels here before we continue on with more. Yeah, Vienna Arsenal. Yeah, even in your area. Thinking of a Jeopardy US game show team. Da, 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 ba, 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 ba. Is that? Oh yeah, there's definitely thunder outside. There's a thunderstorm coming. Let's check it out with this good old radio and put it on an AM band. So this is FM, medium wave. We're just gonna try to tune in. Oh, there's a lot of interference here. There's definitely some static crashes. We definitely hear static crashes here. There we go. We hear some static, but you know, we don't hear the static crashes like when the thunderstorm is really close. But we do hear the static crashes on the on this receiver. We'll leave it at a low volume here. So yep, there are some static crashes. So it found 7 channels right now in the scan. Absolutely. So let's, yeah, I've got UFOs here, Vianney. Absolutely. Oh, it found the channel. So here we go. It's already ready. 50 minutes. Come on. So 7 channels were found. Let's get out of here. So there's CBC French with a little bit of signal problem. CBC English 6.1. This is TVA, which is a French privately owned TV network. CTV, Canadian TV private network. And talking about the weather. And talking about volcanoes. This is global, 15.1 is global. That one doesn't come in well. And it has 15.2. That's interesting. So something showed up here in little bloggy chops. Télé-Québec 17.1. Then we have, and then it came back here. So basically that's what it found. But keep in mind it doesn't have a real antenna. On the TV. It's just that the cable that's plugged to my Atari 1040 ST is acting as an antenna. But if I put a real antenna, I can tell you one thing. It'd probably be more channels than that that I would copy over the air, honestly, here. So, you know. Tune to 162.55. Here we go. FM. That's French. So they're probably going to give the reports of the thunderstorms. So look at that, these nice beautiful lines, and if I shut down the ICOM, they all disappear. And that comes from the crappy 80 55 power supply from the ICOM. Crazy how it noise. Look at the noise that it has as soon as I turn on my ICOM. Completely nuts. Completely nuts. Completely nuts. That's why I leave it off when I actually tune around with the SDR, because it's just crazy. Oh really? A video on YouTube with a Windows startup with a version of the Jeopardy music playing. I like the IT crowd when they when Moss gets knocked over and then he wakes up and he opens his eyes and there's a Windows XP startup sound. It's just okay. Yeah, that would be good. Music like Counter 64 games used to load. Absolutely, that would be great. Thank you, Mad Radio DXer, for the donation. So take care, PLF Radio. So let's check out the bands a little bit, guys. Let's see what I can hear. Let's see what's on the air that could be received right now. This is 10 megahertz. Am I hearing definitely some static crashes here. We can see them in the display a little bit. But we're not I don't think we're gonna, yeah, definitely static crashes coming in now. What is there that we can listen to here? Anything unusual? There's something here. What's that? Oh, that one's not very strong. 11330. Oh. 11. 11175, the emergency action message from the U.S. Air Force. Let's try 15. $13,200 is the best for me.
November, Kilo, 5, India, 4,
It's a emergency action message from the U.S. Air Force. Yeah, absolutely. It is actually an outboard power supply that comes with the ICOM. For a long time, I was running it off a power supply I had here, but it actually kind of burned up. So I need to buy a new linear power supply to power it, because that 8055 crap that comes with the ICOM, and you know, I'm kind of mad a little bit at that, because honestly, when you buy a radio that's cost $2,000, give me a damn good power supply. Don't give me that crap stuff that generates noise on the radio. It's just nuts, you know. Look at that. Look at the static crashes, guys. As the thunderstorm is actually getting closer. And I'll be brave and still leave my antenna plugged in. So now it's raining really hard again. So we're getting like tropical weather almost. But it's tropical weather at 11 degrees Celsius. So 13 to 100 good for radioactive. Hearing 11175 also. One helps us with Cuba 240 miles south. Radios are doing good, doing AMDX into Ohio. Oh, nice. Yeah, I won't fry my SDR. Don't worry. You know, I've always. It's funny because I've almost never unplugged my antennas over the years, and I've never had issues. Now that doesn't mean that you should do the same, and doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. But you know, I do like taking chances in life sometimes. The worst that can happen maybe is we could lose the internet or something, if there's, you know, really bad bad weather. But even that, you know, it doesn't happen often. So what else do we have in here? So these are local noises. Something here on 13670. Now the static crashes are really getting much stronger, honestly. Super 20 Dan, absolutely. If you want to donate, I would be happy. And you know what? I'd be happy because my 102-inch CB antenna that's on the floor right now would have a great use for that. So if you want to do so, just contact me on my email, official Shortwave Radio. I would really like to have that, honestly, and it'll have a nice place right here. Absolutely, Super 20 Dan. So you can official Shortwave Radio at gmail.com. Just say a little hi there, and we'll arrange the we'll arrange that it arrives here. If you want, I'll be happy to pay for the shipping expense if you want. So it's going to be kind of interesting. So thanks. I'll be very sorry here. I'm kind of stuck. Okay. I've been I've been having my foot like curved for the past hour, and I'm kind of not feeling it anymore. So a peek out the window. It's going to be a little difficult, but let's. Okay, here goes. Here, I'll even do a little something so that the peek out the window looks even better. So here for you, Kimberly. Only Kimberly can make me do things like that. I'll try to have that peek out the window if possible. So here we go. The peek out the window is like this. So I don't know if you guys see, but it's not raining as hard as it was about 5 minutes ago. When I say it's raining hard, it's harder than that. This is not as hard, but it's raining. So it's raining. So here we go. Alvin says, would it be nice to see out the window? Yeah. So here we go. We'll put these back here. And here we go. I can leave that open. It's so dark outside, it doesn't change much in the lighting system here. So here we go. And so we'll continue tuning around. David says, I had to buy a separate power supply for my iCommerce 8500. Didn't come with any. Got one branded Myrmidon, and I think it's a 25 amp. But my iCom only sucks about 1.5. So, oh yeah, absolutely. That's great. It's great. No problem. K6YOL and Calvin wanted to see outside. And it's SWL France, bonsoir. Bienvenue. Welcome aboard, Patrice, in France. Always nice to have you here. And as you guys see, we have no more snow. And that's great. That's the greatest thing that could happen because we had a really, really horrible winter. 1636 kilohertz Radio Bluebird, says SWL France. DX came, you know what? DX came at the beginning of the show and came over maybe 10 minutes before the show also. Now I think he's sleeping in the bedroom. So 13670, what's that? Oh, I think that's Cuba. Is it? It's okay. It's Voice of America. The Voice of America to West Africa from Greenville. So this is Voice of America, 13670. Yeah, you missed him at the beginning of the show. Well, 700 watts only. That's pretty good DX. Yep, there's a show tomorrow, 2000 hours Universal Time. Anybody that's here, you can come back tomorrow, as we will have another Shortwave Radio show, of course. So, for those that wonder, this is the Shortwave Radio show. We're here every Fridays, 2000 hours Universal Time. And we talk about radio, tune around the bands, answer questions, and just have a lot of fun, basically. And you know, it's cool because, like I always say, solitary hobby, and it just adds to the fun side of, you know, everybody gathered together somewhere to listen to the radio together. Yes, I am on the International Radio Report on this Sunday at 14:30 UTC. We'll be there this weekend. It's going to be a every 2 weeks thing, pretty much. So, yep, this Sunday I will be there, 14:30 UTC. CKUT.ca for the live stream, and it's a fun show, and I like to be there. It's a fun moment. I kind of liked being, you know, it's cool because also it brings out another side of radio that is you know, always fun for anybody that loves radio. Is, you know, we always wanted to be on the radio, or, you know, be on have your own radio station or whatever, and you know, it's kind of partly a dream come true when you do that, because when I'm on the International Radio Report, well, you're on the radio, and it's kind of cool, you know that there's this antenna and this transmitter, and that there's a broadcast of, you know, going on the FM band, which is kind of cool. What else do we have? Where can I find an SSBCB radio in the States? Kevin Weiss says you can pretty much find. They're not that difficult to find. You can go online to the like Midland, or you know, these companies, like, what's the other one? President is one of the big companies that made these CBs. Uniden. You will have a lot of their CBs, and often they will tell you of you know, where you can maybe buy them at a local shop or somewhere, but they're not that difficult to actually have. Aaron Mitchell, nice to have you here. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I like being I really like actually doing my little my little visit every 2 weeks to the CKUT International Radio Report. It's kind of fun, and it's nice to be there. And Sheldon did let me know that he found it cool that I'd be there also, because it's kind of nice. It adds another knowledgeable voice to the radio experience. I like commenting also on the news stories that Sheldon has on his show. There's always, I sometimes have my little something that I want to add or say about it, because it's nice. So it's kind of cool. Kind of cool. Luis Arevallo, nice to have you here. Do you think one day shortwave will go away? I can't see a near future of shortwave going away of any kind, because when you live in North America, you might think, well, shortwave, there's not a lot of stuff on it, but because their target areas have changed. But if you just take a look at the EIBI space.de list of transmissions for 24 hours. Look at the huge amount of signals there's on the shortwave bands. I mean, there are regions around the world that shortwave is a must. Africa, Asia is two examples. And I can't see, even if I live up to 90 years old, I'm sure that there's going to be some shortwave stations that I'll be able to listen to in that period of time, in 40 years from now. But, it's going to change through time. It's going to go through different changes that are already operating. Is it going to go away? I'm not sure it will ever go away. I think it will have some use for sure, but it changes, that's for sure. It really changes. What is there? Our DB says, I just finished my last beer. Excuse me while I look for my daughter's stash. Oh, man. B says, shall we ever purchase an XH Data D808? I could easily replace your PL680. I looked, I had a few occasions. I was looking at purchasing one, but you know what? I haven't been able to find one that would cost me less than about 170, 180 Canadian dollars. And the few times that I've searched, which is for me too expensive for that radio. I don't want to pay $200. Especially a lot of people purchased it for below 100. If I can find it at 100 or near 100, I would purchase one and have it a review and use it happily. But 170, 180, I find it a little expensive. Yeah, Cobra also. Cobra is another, as Andy Coley says, Cobra is another well-known name for CBs. So, it is interesting to hear stories about related to shortwave, absolutely. Sean says, if you just started listening to the International Radio Report, you've only missed 30 years worth of shows. Show began in 1987, absolutely. It's a great show. I've been listening for so long. Sheldon says, by the time I'm 90, there's going to be an oldie station broadcasting Duran. There's going to be an old-time radio drama with Duran songs in it. Oh, God. Oh, man. Kimberly says, I really hope there's an amateur radio in the afterlife. Yeah, I hope so. I hope we can, tune in the bands. I mean, come on. Isn't there a promise? Did I, kind of misunderstand something? Or is there a promise of, always perfect propagation in heaven with the best radio in your hand always? Isn't that what we learned in church? I mean, last time I went to church was probably when I was, really young. But, you know, I don't know. I kind of understood there would be a perfect propagation all the time. Oh, God. Thunderbird, nice to have you here. Shortwave Friends says, have you listened to Band Pirate Band 62-6400? You know what? I sometimes, you know, the problem is noise, because when I tune 62-6400 Pirate Band here in Montreal, I actually detect that I hear some pirates. I can hear the carriers, or very faint in the background. But it's in the noise, so I almost never hear it good enough to be able to listen to you know, one of the broadcasts. If I wanted to do that, I have to go to, you know, like one of the SDRs in Europe and tune around 62-6400. So you know. Chris Alpha Tango, nice to have you on board. And hey, I love my pirate flag. Just means that I love pirates. None of us remember the 70s. Well, I kind of have some hints of the 70s, yes. Duran Duran's reflexes will be shot by then. Yeah, Sheldon, probably. Probably. I remember mostly the 80s at the farthest point in life, but I have a bit of recollection of the 70s. But you know, I was in 79, I was 10 years old. Back in 1979, long time ago. I still remember reading a book on the Voyager probes, and I was like, oh wow, this is going to be so cool. They're going to visit, you know, Saturn and Uranus and Neptune, and it's going to be so nice. And what I knew is I went through high school and college, and all of that happened, and it's gone, and it's far back, and it's like, what the hell? What the hell? Where did time fly exactly? I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but in my 20s, I seem to not remember a lot of things. And it's not because just of the alcohol and other substances, but I just don't remember much about my 20s, honestly. For some reason, my life started in the 30s. I don't know why. Maybe too much. I don't know. Maybe too much alcohol. I don't know. It's just crazy. I remember the 70s, the best 6 years of my life. Oh man. Star Wars is a brand new movie. Oh man. I can say the same for the Terminator. I remember seeing the Terminator. That was a brand new thing that everybody was going crazy about. The Terminator. The first movie I've ever seen is the first Superman. It was with a friend of mine that lived in the corner of the street, and we were supposed to go to La Ronde, which is a theme park here in Montreal. And that day was pouring rain. So because of that, instead of going there, we went to the movies. And I remember seeing Superman, the first one, in a movie theater. And I remember we sat down and we stayed there. We stayed there even when it ended so that we could watch it again. So we watched it like twice in an afternoon. Crazy. My first pirate, I'm trying to remember, what was my first ever pirate station I've heard in life? I don't remember that. You know what? I think it's I have a QSL card here from a station that's called Radio Piranha International. And that guy was, at the time, doing pirate stations from different parts of the world. if I remember well. And he broadcast, I believe, from Brazil. Was it Brazil or Venezuela at that time? I'm trying to remember. And I remember listening to his broadcasts on 13 megahertz. I still got a QSL card. I got to find that. If you guys want to see QSLs, let's have a look at QSLs a little bit. That's going to bring, you want to go back in time a little bit? QSLs are a great way to go back in time. So let me just take a look at my book here. Here it is. I'll try not to break anything, but I got it in here somewhere. So this is one of my 3 or 4 QSLs with lots of cat hair, visibly. Wow. Okay, whoops. Lots of QSLs here that I haven't actually put into the classified section yet. Just leave it there. But I do believe I've got it in this one. It's a pirate station. Look at that, man. Let's I don't know. I don't want to bore you guys with the QSL cards, but look at that. Look at that. I'm gonna take out the things because it's gonna be easier to show up. Some of these QSL cards are just truly amazing. So, what about this? Look at that. QSL cards from Australia. Look at that, guys. Australian QSL cards. Radio Australia. They had beautiful cards. Beautiful cards. My first ever QSL card from Radio Australia is the one here at the top with the bird. And it says 1985 on it. Wow. Pretty crazy. But I want to show you guys. Look at that. Long Gone Stations. Radio 4VEH was on shortwave at some point from IET. This is crazy. Look at the one at the bottom. That's Venezuela. Radio Barquisimeto. I'm trying to find that pirate QSL. Switzerland. Radio Japan had such beautiful cards. Always had beautiful cards, Radio Japan. Look at that. Cards from the 80s, man. That is crazy. I remember being amazed. You know, when you're young, you don't know anything about the world. I remember getting this card from Radio Japan and saying, there's snow in Japan? It's snowing in Japan? Really? I remember being amazed, not knowing that, yeah, there is snow in Japan. Look at that. This is one of the cool QSLs for Radio RSA. I don't know if you guys can read the bottom part. Radio RSA, South Africa. And in case you can't read it, the frequency is 25790. 25790. That is amazing. 11-meter band. So, Radio Norway. Radio Norway at the top. And Radio Nacional do Brasil that had English. Let me just check that out here. Look at that. Cards that commemorate special events. The 1988 Seoul Olympic Games. I've got QSL cards that are really, really... Yep, all of these are shortwave. Absolutely. Let me check that out here. Oh, look at that. Some of these more exotic stuff. Lesotho Broadcasting. That's crazy. Voice of Indonesia here. These are all QSLs from the 80s. Radio Tanzania. Look at that. Tanzania. Radio Tanzania. Dar es Salaam. More Radio RSA. More Brazil. Where is that pirate QSL? I'd like to find it to show you guys. And I believe that's the first ever QSL from a pirate I've ever had. Look at that. Radio Tirana back in the communist days in 1983 or something. Really crazy. Radio Reloj from Costa Rica. Look at that. Wow, KCBI International, which I believe is not an existent doesn't exist anymore in shortwave broadcasting from the United States. Okay, this thing just shut down. Let's just go back into here. Yeah, I get a chat room. And these are amazing. These are amazing. Yeah, in Dallas, Texas. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at that. Radio Jamahiriya from from Libya. From Libya. Voice of Nigeria at the bottom. I've got Ecos del Torbes from Venezuela here. They were on 4980. Oh man. Well, Pakistan Broadcasting Corporation, a letter, QSL letter. Radio Feba in the Seychelles. Look at that. These are nice QSLs. One at the bottom is Radio Thailand. Look at that. This is after the Kuwait invasion by Iraq. The first QSL I got from Radio Kuwait, which is a full-page QSL here. Pretty crazy. This one's going to remind a lot of people things. Radio Netherlands at the top. Transworld Radio Swaziland at the bottom. These are amazing cards. I got to tell you one thing. These are amazing. I'm trying to find, I'm sure I got it in this book. I'm trying to find the QSL, the Pirate QSL. Oh, this is another one that's gone. WJCR worldwide. Look at that. Whatever happened to that station? All India Radio, Radio Prague, Radio Slovakia. Trying to find that. Radio Lira, which was a, I believe Costa Rica also. Was it Costa Rica? In yeah, Costa Rica. Radio Sofia, when Radio Bulgaria, before it was called Radio Sofia, because it was in the communist times. Radio Sweden, look at that. Beautiful card from Radio Cairo showing the some of their marvelous pyramids and stuff there. Radio Korea, which is KBS World Radio today. Look at that, guys. This one is a special one. Radio Saint Helena. They used to have a one day every year that they would broadcast to the world on 11092.5 kilohertz upper sideband. That's a QSL card from what year? 1992. That was so cool. Radio Orion from South Africa. What a lot of, you know, this, if you want to have me go nostalgic, this thing is just this. Oh, look at that crazy guy that puts sarin gas in the Tokyo subway. He had his own shortwave station, and that's the guy that's I think it was sentenced to death or something. He had his own shortwave station, man. Kind of nuts. Really nuts. Hey, look at that. Denmark. Iceland. Oh, here's the QSL I was looking for. Look at that, guys. So this is from 19... This is from 19... Is there a year? That looks like 95. So look at that. That was when I was talking about the guy, Radio Piranha International. This is a QSL card from that pirate, and he was broadcasting from, I believe, maybe Venezuela, if I remember well. And he had 150 watts of power. That is what I was searching for. to show you guys. So you know I'm not talking bull when I talk about something. I really did it or haven't. So you know some cool stuff in here. Oh, look at that, David in Barcelona. You'll like that. Radio Exterior de España. Look at that. Look at that. My first QSL from Radio Exterior de España at the bottom, which was in 11th April 1983. I sent a report on 11th of April 1983 on Radio Exterior de España. Here are more QSLs here from Spain. Look at that. Pretty cool. I even got more here. Look at that. This one is kind of nice. Look at that. Pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Swiss Radio International. Of course, who can forget HCJB? HCJB. HCJB. That was one of my favorite shortwave broadcasters, HCJB, and they had great QSLs. Austria, Radio Austria. Oh man. This is nuts. Cameroon. This is from Cameroon. Kind of an official card here. Italy. Of course, I've got a lot of radio. Look at that. These RCI, Radio Canada International QSLs. These are all QSL cards from that from a long time ago. Hey, Radio Moscow. Look at that. This is Radio Moscow. Long time ago in Russia. Amazing. This is amazing. I'm going to go through that tonight and be totally nostalgic and just try to not cry because I can't hear any of those anymore. No, not really, but you know, that thing, when I take it out and I start looking at the cards, I get back to my older days, and some of these cards have a story around it that's just like crazy. But these are amazing QSLs. Amazing QSLs. So what else? We saw some pyramids. What a nice place to install antennas. So it's crazy here. All the the Aum Shinrikyo cult. It's really crazy. Focused on time travel. You want to go back and listen to Shortwave from 20 years ago, David? God. Well, the QSL, most of them EQSL. Often you'll have a QSL on a pirate station, but they're EQSLs that you'll get through email most of the time. I mean, I have some really cool stuff from pirates. For those of you that have not seen that, there was like some pirate stations. I got I think it's the CDs here. So this is one of them. Look at that, guys. This is actually a 2006 show from Undercover Radio. He had sent me a QSL plus this CD that contains his old show of 2006 that I keep. I got one for Undercover Radio, and I got one for oh man, another station that I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Radio Exterior QSLs from a long time ago. From the time when listening to shortwave was just crazy and you could, barely tune around without actually, like you would just move the dial a little bit and you'd be bumping 20 stations. It was crazy. QPR Pirate Station, 10 kilowatt Pirate Station. Huh. Wade Spencer says, gives me goosebumps on nostalgia. Shortwave is not dead, but needs a resurgence. I think it's in the future. I've got. I don't have a lot I need to get that box out because the reason I haven't taken that data out, by the way, for recordings, is that it's underneath tons of things. Oh really? Even don't you take the time to EQSL? Oh really? Oh, it's sad. It's sad. Yeah, maybe that's because they do that. Maybe that's because they do that. They slow scan TV, so they hope that you decode that thing, and that will be a QSL. Maybe that's the idea behind it. You know. Maybe that's the idea. Take care, Mad Radio DXer. Nice to have you on board, as usual. So, you know, of course, for shortwave, broadcasting, yeah, you know, there were times where, you know, I lived through the glory days of shortwave from the past years, you know, the past 10 years or so, and I mean, there's so many things here. So, for example, what you guys call Radio Taiwan International here was called Voice of Free China back then. I'll remember to remove the cover a little bit because it will look better like this. So that Voice of Free China. I mean, this was... Oh, if anybody wants to see a BBC QSL card, here we go. BBC QSL cards, guys. The time when they had QSL cards, it existed at some point when they did have QSL cards. Crazy. And when I look at these, I'm just, it is nostalgic. I can tell you that. Yeah, it depends on the SDR you're using, Southern Illinois Sen, because they don't all work with the same software-defined receivers. Absolutely. Hey, let's check out the bands here and see if we can hear anything. What is there interesting? 6115.
822-7776. 406-822-7676.
WWCR on 6115 right now. What's right here on 5930? There's something weak on 5930. Oh yeah, B, absolutely. Oh, my pleasure, MDK2. For those that wondered, this radio, so this radio comes from Fastlow that was in the chat room a little earlier. And this is a 1969 receiver. So basically, it was made the year I was born, 1969. It is one of the most amazing receivers I've ever seen in my life, honestly. The build quality and the construction of this thing is so amazing. It actually has a kind of a clutch system that when you switch, you move, there's like a little cord that pulls on, and you switch from tuning. So for example, here I'm on this part of the shortwave band. I tune from the button that's on the side here, which is very, very amazing. And from this button, you see that I move this needle in here. But if I switch to the other part, which is here, now I am tuning here with this button. And if I continue on and tune the FM band, that same button is actually moving only the FM band dial, not the whole dial here. It's a crazy system here. It's a super complex radio inside. When you switch the bands in here for the shortwave bands, it's a set of switches that are on kind of a little metal metal things that actually are on a rotating thing that makes the contacts for the different bands. This is totally nuts how this thing is constructed. And it's a full coverage long wave, medium wave, short wave receiver. It's a general coverage receiver. And it has an amazing thing, because two of the most amazing things of this radio, that apart from its construction, is, you know, radios from 1960s, 70s, they often drift. This radio is driftless. So much that actually when you tune a station and you shut down the radio, if you turn it on tomorrow, it's exactly on the station you were listening in. It hasn't drifted at all. It's totally nuts. The other thing that's amazing is how precise you can tune. It actually has two things. So when I go to the shortwave bands here, which is this one, so it lights up here, there's two things I can do. I can tune from, so here I'm at 11 meters, so I can tune from like 25 to 30 megahertz, but there's a fine tuning button. There's on this thing you can actually fine tune, and if you fine tune, and it's the button that's called band spread at the top here, and now it says band spread. Now instead of having 25 to 30, I have the 11 meter band from the bottom to the top. So on the right side now I'm tuning 25,600 to 26,100, which means it's so precise that I can almost tell you the exact frequency that I'm tuning because of its spreading of the band. It's truly an amazing piece of equipment. This thing is really amazing. I mean, when Fastlow gave me this thing, it was amazing. I mean, it was the best Christmas gift I've had in years. I want to thank again Fastlow for that. And you know what, Fastlow got that from his, I think it was his stepdad or something. And he taught about, you know, he opened it, he cleaned up all the contacts so it works perfectly. But when he was thinking about the radio, he said the only person I know that will actually use it was me. And so he thought, well, I'm going to give him the radio because he's the only one who's going to really use it, honestly. So it's amazing. This thing is amazing. So this is the its model number is the Satellite Transistor 6001. It's also known as the Satellite the Grundig Satellite 210. It's the same model. Pretty crazy stuff, I can tell you that. This is truly amazing. Kimberly says, me too, it was built in 1969. Well, the best year. That was the best year. So this is really, really, really crazy. Hey, take care, Sheldon. See you on Sunday. And if you have time tomorrow, I'll be here on the live shows also. But see you Sunday, Sheldon. No problem. This is crazy, I gotta tell you that. Crazy shit. So, as for the sensitivity, this thing, not quite as sensitive as today's radios, but so good anyway that you could easily take this and shortwave on it. But it's not a DX machine. It's not a DX machine. And actually it's 1969, and there's a at the back there's a little plug. They sold a separate module that you could plug in this that turns it into a single sideband receiver also. So, you know, pretty cool. Single sideband has been around for a long time. I can't say a specific year or anything, but it's been around for a long time. B says, Joe, I have no idea what this means to us older guys. That thing is a true radio. Oh, absolutely. This is one of the best built and most amazing radio I've ever seen in my life. You know, it's easy to be amazed at, you know, like an icon like this, which is an amazing radio, honestly. But it amazes me more to have these things, because this is in an era where you don't have microchips and you don't have all of these chips that do things. You have a full circuit with, you know, transistors and all of that in order for this radio to work. And to have been able to do a radio that's so precise, driftless, and so complex, this thing is an amazing. You know, when I got it, I started reading many articles. There was a lot of articles on the internet of people who have actually owned one, and including one that the guy wanted to have it repaired. And the worst is that he actually the guy that wanted to have it repaired understood one thing: nobody would actually want to use it or repair it. It was too complex, and that basically you better have one that's working, because if it's not, you are almost sure that you're never going to be able to have that thing fixed. It's crazy. So that guy finally bought or found a new one. So yeah, that's thanks to Tesla. This thing is truly amazing, and I brought it here because honestly, it's funny. I brought it here for the show. Because it actually does not. It's in my kitchen usually. It's my kitchen shortwave radio. So I usually put it in the kitchen, and when I want to listen to shortwave broadcasts, in the kitchen, I use this radio. It has tremendous, beautiful sound also. Pretty amazing sound. This thing is beautiful, beautifully built, beautiful sound, bass treble controls, and I don't know. I almost can't find anything negative on this thing. It's just too darn amazing, and I like to see these old radios, and I like to have these old radios working. I hate having a radio on a shelf that does nothing. That's why I rotate my radios all the time when I listen in, because I don't want to have a radio that's on the shelf that I never use. It's something that I don't like. If I purchase a radio, it's because I want to use it. And this is just a beautiful thing, and I love using it. It's one of my favorite receivers. Very heavy, of course, and oh, absolutely. At that time, the engineering. The only thing, yeah, okay, I'll have a rant, a negative side to it. The negative side to this is that I have the original manual that I found on the internet. The worst manual you can imagine. Unfortunately, it is really a bad manual. It's the only thing that was bad. Honestly, bad manual, with the radio amazing. And it was, if you compare it to today's receivers, this thing in 1969, no, it actually has translation of French. It's in German, French, English, maybe another language, but German, French, and English. And I'm not ranting a lot. I'm not in that ranting mood today, so it's like. So that radio in 1969, I'm trying to remember how much it cost. It was, I think, $300. So think of $300 in 1969. It's like $1,000 radio today, and even more. It was dreadfully expensive for the time. I mean, I don't know a lot of people that would buy $300 radios in 1969 for sure. You had to have a really good job. So, hey guys, I'm a little tired, and we've been on for 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is not too bad at all. We'll be back tomorrow, and so I'll take the rest of the evening, relax, and listening to the radio a little bit. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and we'll be back tomorrow, 2000 UT. Hope you're going to be there, and we'll answer the questions that we haven't answered today. 2000 UT is on the East Coast, 4 p.m. Here in Eastern Time Zone. So just depending on where you guys are, it's 4 p.m. Eastern. So and that's 2000 hours UTC. And I want to thank everybody for being here, being great fans. Thanks for the donations that I did see come through while we were doing the show. Much appreciated. You guys are great, and thanks for everything. Love you all. Always nice to be here. And another show tomorrow. We'll try to make it longer tomorrow. It'll be Saturday night. We'll tune the bands, find pirates, and just do a longer show tomorrow. We'll try to do 3.5 to 4 hours tomorrow, and have things to talk about. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Stay safe. Hope you enjoyed the show today. And see you tomorrow, 2000 UT. Bye.